Hey, ladies, Diddy, Garth Brooks, and Doug Emhoff walk into a club and they ask for your number. What do you tell them? Antoine Dotson has the answer.
To help.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
The attacker got loose and went out the upstairs window, but he did leave something behind.
We got your T-shirt. You done left fingerprints and all. You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
All right, so that's Antoine Dotson's message to Diddy, Doug Emhoff, and Garth Brooks. And we'll be talking about that. Also, there's plenty of news to get to. This is a story that I didn't touch last week that I want to touch on. Obviously, this is a cultural issue. Sometimes I avoid the cultural issues, not because I don't think they're necessarily important. I just love politics, and I love how, I try to marry my biblical worldview with my politics and share that. But cultural issues obviously play a part and should play a part in that. So I want to talk about the Diddy thing. I would also say that typically what I do, for those of you that have heard me before, I don't like cases playing out in the public. No matter how bad they are, no matter how evil they are, our system is that you're innocent until proven guilty. And when cases are tried in the public, I don't believe that happens. So regardless of how evil a person is, in this case with Diddy, if these allegations are true, and apparently there's been rumors swirling and people have known for years that they are, if that is in fact the case, this guy is the epitome of evil. The only reason I'm willing to talk about this specific case is because many of the alleged victims came forward to the police officers or to police, to FBI even, and for whatever reason, it didn't seem to go beyond that up until now. So that is the only reason I'm willing to talk about this in public. I'm telling you, I stay away, and I know a lot of people in conservative media won't do it. Obviously, there used to be court TV. Nancy Grace has blown up with it and all that kind of stuff. But I stay away for the most part of talking about very public crimes because I don't believe that the perpetrators can get a fair trial. So anyway, that's that. But let me just share this. Let me talk about Diddy. Let me talk about Doug Emhoff. Let me talk about Garth Brooks. And let me talk about the feminist movement. Now, there was a podcast that Kamala Harris was on just this past weekend, and we'll get into that a little later. But I'm going to say this, and I know this is going to upset a lot of people. I know this is going to upset particularly feminists on the left, but it is feminists on the left that have emboldened people like Diddy, that have emboldened, if the allegations are true, the Doug Emhoff and Garth Brooks of the world, if the allegations are true. Carl, how can you say that? Are you blaming the woman? No, I'm blaming left-wing feminism. Here's the problem with left-wing feminism. They don't understand that men and women are different. They don't take that into account. They think that they're being empowered or they're empowering themselves by sleeping around like men, and it simply doesn't work. Pro-choice women, and these left-wing feminists, again, are emboldening the Diddys of the world. Men, all you're teaching men is that men can have unlimited sex without consequence. That's what left-wing feminism has taught men. That's all they've taught men how to be emotional, how to emote, how not to. Men don't have to mature anymore, thanks to, in large part, I believe, to the left-wing feminist movement. Men don't have to be responsible. They don't have to worry about taking care of their kids, taking care of their responsibilities, because the lady says, the left-wing feminist says, you can sleep with me. There's no consequences. I'll just kill the baby. And the man that is no longer a man, hardly in today's era, says, good, I can just walk away from this. And that's what you have with these left-wing men. You have Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman or whatever he's called, that it basically said, Jen Psaki interviewed him and said, you're this new type of masculinity. No, that's not a new type of masculinity. What women have created on the left, the Jen Psakis of the world, by even offering such a stupid, this new masculinity idea, is all you're doing is weakening men. That's all you're doing. And you're causing more women to be abused and used. These left-wing feminists, in my opinion, have literally played a major part, besides big government programs, in destroying the family. When women, I wrote a column years ago Ladies, close your legs and watch morality spread. Now, I'm not letting men off the hook. I'm just trying to let you know what type of power that you have over men. And it's funny to me. It's crazy to me that left-wing feminists don't exercise this particular power. It's absolutely, it drives me nuts. It drives me insane. You tell a man, hey, sleep with me. No responsibility whatsoever. And then you blame the man for toxic masculinity. And all you're doing is causing this so-called toxic masculinity. Actually, I don't even believe in that term. I believe that people are toxic. But generally speaking, I do believe that left-wing men, beta males that fall for these left-wing feminist women are essentially toxic because they're not men. They've been taught that they can be just as emotional as women. They've been taught that they don't have to be responsible for their actions. They've been taught that they don't have to take care of their kids. They've been taught that they're not needed, and they believe it. And now they don't know what the heck to be. So you have men trying to be women because being a man is no longer enough in today's society. And it's crazy. It's insane. Now, Diddy's dirt is Diddy's dirt. Doug Emhoff's dirt is Doug Emhoff's dirt. Garth Brooks, if that's true, it's his dirt. And by the way, Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman, this is a man that allegedly, according to the Daily Mail, the UK Daily Mail, I believe, he was dating a woman who happens to be a New York attorney. I believe they were in France at the Cannes Film Festival, and apparently, somewhat in a drunken stupor, he slapped the lady so hard, she did a spin. And apparently her friends were witnesses to this, or at least she told them about it immediately following, and apparently she hit him back as well. Now, this is the same man that knocked up his nanny. And guys, listen, let me say this. I know that men fall and you put yourself in precarious positions like that. This is what women don't understand about men. Men are very sexually aroused. They're aroused, visibly and very easily. All right. And I know there's some women out there that are probably just as bad as men, but men 1-to-1 is gonna be typically more sexually or easily aroused as opposed to women. You don't have to do much work to get a man aroused. Men are just naturally that way. And so I blame the feminist movement in part for damaging a lot of men as they exist today. You can demand more. And I'm so tired of this nonsense. It's amazing to me because what Kamala Harris is running on is the answer to everything is abortion. Oh, the answer to the economy is abortion. The answer to war seems to be abortion. The answer to free speech is abortion. Or she grew up in a middle class home, which is so far from the truth. It's unbelievable. This lady is a fake, a fraud, and she can't make it. All right, she can't make it. She can't even fake it. We'll get into that we'll get into that a little later. And I got plenty of headlines again. I mean, it is October 7th. It's a year. I don't even know how to frame this. A year since at least 1,200 Israelis were murdered by Hamas. And man, it's just it is a solemn day. We'll talk about that a little bit. A lot of headlines that I want to get into, but it is very important to remember that Israel's the little Satan, America is the great Satan. I support Israel wholeheartedly. We'll get into that in just a second, but let me get back to this issue because I've been wanting to opine on this for quite some time. Men and women complement each other. Men and women need each other. If the world was full of women, you'd have no purpose. You wouldn't have a full purpose anyway. The same is true for men. Men need women, women need men. We complement each other. And this feminist movement, again, has totally destroyed women. This feminist movement, in part, has created the Diddies of has created the Diddies or helped to create, let me put it that way, has helped to create the Diddies of the world. Because again, a man doesn't have to be a man. I don't know how this guy, if these allegations are true, this guy was the sexual predator, pervert that he was. And more women didn't stand up until recently. That's insane to me. That is insane to me. And more men, quite frankly. Let's go through some of the details. Let's go through some of the details. I decided I'm going to do this a little differently, Gabe. I'm going to break this down into 2 segments. Let me just focus on this Diddy thing, and then we'll get into the other news of the day, and just perhaps just break that up into a second podcast, because I've been wanting to cover this, and I know it's a little bit of old news, but we're getting ready to be hit by, what's the name of this hurricane? We got so many hurricanes in Florida. I know I haven't even been paying that much attention, and this thing is shaping up to be a major disaster. Here I am in Central Florida, and I don't even know the name of this thing. What is the name of this thing? Oh, thank you. Hurricane Milton. That's an easy name to remember. I don't know why I keep forgetting it. So those of you that are in the listening audience, please pray for us, and continue to pray for the people that have been impacted by Hurricane Helene. I've got some news on that that I'll share in a little bit. But let me just go through 13 bombshell revelations that this Busby law firm and the ABA Law Group shared last week in a press conference. And I want to talk about this a little bit. And again, this is my first time sharing this and speaking on this. But here's number one. 25 of the 120 Combs accusers, Sean Puffy Combs or Diddy Combs or whatever the heck he calls himself nowadays, were minors at the time the alleged incidents occurred. So if this is true, absolute bombshell. They are right. One of the attorneys or Busby law firm said, one of the spokesman said, when we talk about the ages of the victims, when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. Okay. Quick question. If you're a parent, why do you send your kid around this guy? Who's sending their kid around this guy? I got to be honest with you. I know this may sound crazy. One of the things that I did when God first saved me, all right, I stopped listening. I used to listen to so much rap, and I liked a lot of music, frankly. I would listen to all types of music, but I listened to a lot of rap. I listened to a lot of, West Coast rap, because that's where I'm from. And I listened to some East Coast rap too. I listened to a lot of R&B. I listened to oldies. But I stopped listening to a lot of music. I stopped paying attention to the music industry, which is why I'm so far removed from culture. So I have to read culture to kind of know what's going on in society nowadays, because I just absolutely it's not something that God has placed in my heart for the most part. But I understand that politics, flows downstream from culture. So now obviously it's something that I have to address, because the culture has taken over even the church in many cases. It's such a sad statement, but it's absolutely true. But 120 of Combs' accusers were minors at the time of the alleged incidents. Where are the parents? This is sickening to me. All right, the youngest, and by the way, if you're listening to this podcast with a kid, I'm going to urge you to make sure you cover the little one's ears or listen to this on your own time. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast: Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble, por favor. All right. And also follow me on all things social media at The Carl Jackson Show. Here's number two bombshell. The youngest alleged sex abuse victim of Combs was just 9 years old. Now, again, these cases have not been tried in court. I do want to say that every alleged perpetrator is innocent until proven guilty. I believe that wholeheartedly, even as disgusting and as hard as this is to read. But I want to know what the parents knew. There's no way I would let my kid go around some adult, especially, and be alone. A stranger. I don't care who they are. I don't care what type of status they are. This is baffling to me. This is really baffling to me. And I really believe that this is a part of, I honestly believe this is a part of this whole left wing, this feminist thing, this breaking down the family as the left has done, where there's just no common sense amongst parents anymore. They don't even know how to raise kids right. I don't know why the heck you would want your kid, 9-year-old kid, being a superstar. And that's not to excuse anything that may have happened. This is disgusting. Honestly, something like this, in my opinion, deserves the death penalty. The Busby law firm said our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. And I'm